2 sponsors. 1, Chimera Coffee. Go to chimeracoffee.com, type in the coupon code showtheART, and save some money. 2, Invertigear. Go to invertigear.com, type in the coupon code showtheART15, save some money.
Damn,
Done.
he's on fire.
Listen to the podcast. Boom.
He's like a black belt in advertisement. What's going on, guys? You're listening to the Show the Art podcast. We're co-host Ames and Abe. We're here with the legendary Ricardo Liborio. We spent like a minute asking him how we should pronounce it because we're kind of nervous. So we're just going to call him Libo because he's cool with that.
There you go. That's fine. That's awesome.
How are you doing?
I'm a Libo, man. That's 70% of the guys call me Libo there at the gym, so it's all good.
Can we call you Uncle Libo?
You can actually, all this has started because of Uncle Libo. That's actually what it was. Seriously, they call me Uncle Libo. That's what they used to call me there at ADCC.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Now we
Yeah.
got it. Uncle Libo it is.
How's the weather out there in Florida?
Oh, man, it's awesome, actually. You know, it's not that hot now, and
Yeah.
I think it's like 70 degrees. It's just turning, you know. It's perfect weather.
Yeah, the weather's starting to get really nice over here too. Like the humidity the past month was it was horrible.
Yeah.
Like just training or coaching, it just sucked.
The humidity is just, you're talking to the right people here, humidity.
I can only imagine how
Hum-
humid it is over there.
I just got out of Rio de Janeiro to go to Florida, man. What it's virtually the same except for the hills. You know, the humidity is it's what it is.
Yeah.
This is the air we breathe. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Did you train today? How active are you with training these days?
Let me tell you this. I start doing some training 3 days a week with the white belts.
Okay.
Because I had a problem. I trained so much for Mario in the last event, and I 3 weeks before the match, I broke my wrist.
Oh.
And it was right in a joint, man. It was a pain.
Okay.
Oh.
And I was supposed to get a surgery, and I kept delaying the surgery, to see if it gets better or something like this.
Yeah.
And everything I could, there was nothing I could do without actually rest because it was in pain.
Mm-hmm.
It just got better. I did some therapy, and I'm
Yeah.
still actually doing therapy.
Okay.
And let's see, I'm going to give it a try before get really surgery,
Yeah. It's
And
go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just really it's stressful and it's agitating when you're injured and all you want to do is train. I can imagine like just any athlete, if you're lifting weights, if you're practicing jiu-jitsu, when you're making such great gains and momentum, and then all of a sudden an injury happens, it's really deflating. It's hard.
Oh, and for me, it was like I trained virtually a year for that match.
Oh, wow.
And 3 weeks before, I was already actually pulling the brakes on training, but I went to train wrestling. And out of my own stupidity, I was defending a double leg, and I went to a crazy, takedown, a judo takedown that I used to do it. And I end up putting my hand on the floor, and the guy fall on the top of me. So, when it bends back.
Yeah.
And it was and it fractured. And it swallowed, and what I'm going to do? So what I did for the last 3 weeks to the match was actually just cardio,
Okay.
cardio, and drill and cardio. I didn't do anything else. I was just pushing the cardio,
Okay.
which was pretty good, but I dropped my weight too much.
Yeah.
I was losing too much weight. I actually did lose too much weight.
I see.
I went to compete there with 190, which is, I'm short, but not that small.
Yeah, that's one. So, since you were injured, what was your game plan? Because that probably threw everything off. What did you try to do when you competed against Mario?
The one thing about Mario is that I know his game so well, and I knew exactly what he was going to do. So the game plan was the same. I know that, I was going to pull guard in Mario. It would be stupid of me to do something like that.
Yes.
And it really would, not just because he's very good in doing everything else to pass him to submit on top.
Okay.
Top is his game.
Yeah.
But beyond that, he can stall pretty well on top and look like he's acting. Even if he's not passing, he's going to be active enough to to get somebody desperate on bottom and give him a chance to score.
Sure.
I see.
And everything to start, his game started really with a front headlock.
Okay.
You know, Mario goes from the front headlock to the back to passing guard, you know, from there to half guard, and from there on it goes. And he's very steady, very composed in dispositions. He feels
Sure.
very comfortable in it.
And if I
So
may
full
add,
guard was not an option, you know. So
I was going to ask
Go
you,
ahead.
if I may add, would the strategy also not wanting you to go to the guard because you did break your wrist? And if he plays a heavy top game, you would be forced to be, you know, pushing and defending a little bit more. That would agitate your wrist. Was that also?
Oh yeah. The reality is this, guys. I was the mindset right there, and I took cortisone shot, of course, on my wrist. I couldn't do it without a cortisone, and I really didn't care much. You know, at that point there's another thing too. I was having so much fun.
Yeah.
I was really enjoying so much being there.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, I didn't even think much of that. I was with the mindset and the strategy that we set up with Mako, with King Mo, with Papa Pina, with Murillo. And I knew what to do. If I was on bottom, I knew what to do was on top. But preferably, I had to defend his takedowns, or not even takedowns. He doesn't shoot much for takedowns. He's very good in defending takedowns. And from the front headlock, you know, he spins to the back. So I knew that I would have to be active, trying to take him down, or the game plan was take him down, but he's very good in defending. And if you just keep attacking, just keep doing it. You just push him out of balance and just really look at that I am the aggressor. And that's what's happened, you know. It wasn't pretty much a good jiu-jitsu game, but that would be stupid if I just really actually let him do what he wanted to do. You know, it's following his game.
Yeah. Sure. Now, how did your training look like up until obviously you hurt your wrist? What kind of training did you do as far as drilling purposes? Like at this stage in your life, you know, obviously you've been doing jiu-jitsu for such a long time compared to a blue belt or white belt or many black belts these days. How does your training look like when you're preparing for a competition? Do you still do like drill sessions, or do you do more positional and grappling sparring, or how does your training look?
No, I train a lot in specific positions and drills and flows. Of course, there was 2 days or 3 days a week that was real training.
Okay.
And I got some very good guys, man. I remember training in a training session there that it was me and 4 other kids, and nobody was actually passing the age of 25. Wow. And I'm 50, and I was thinking, man, I'm here with all these UFC fighters, and the oldest one is 25, and I'm 50 years old, and I trained those guys. I felt proud of this in a certain way, but I got my ass kicked so many times. It was so many times there that you're like, oh my God, I'm old. But I was enjoying this so much with them. I had the right mindset for this. So I drill a lot so I cannot get injured. Because in my terms, I have so many injuries, other injuries, but besides the other injuries that I have, I cannot really get hurt in real life drills. Yeah. When you're 25 years old, man, if next week you're cured. Yeah. It doesn't happen to me like that. You know, I can't give a chance like this wrist thing still bothering me to today, you know, and it was the stupidest thing in the world. I don't think if I was younger, it would happen, but I can't give a chance to make things like this happen to me. So the specific training put myself in bad positions, you know, it helped me mentally a lot. For me, I like to pass the struggle and build up in the struggle so you can actually mentally, you know, be prepared for something really bad happen. Yes. Or he mounted me, or he took my bag. You know, how to get out of here? I'm tired and I have to find a way to get out of this position. So I did this a lot, and it's exhausting though. You just get your butt kicked. Sure. But once you get used to this, because it's like a Shark Tank. You guys know what Shark Tank is, right? Yes, somebody in the middle and everybody else around just biting. Yeah. And you know, doesn't matter who it is, you know that whoever is in the middle is going to get your ass kicked. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. If there's not, you're training with people way lower level.
Yeah.
Well, you're not doing it right.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So you just gotta mentally prepare for this. You just mentally prepare for getting your ass kicked and put your ego, in the glove compartment in your car, and then you go there and you go back there and you think, well, all right, now it's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like the flow. You know when you flow with somebody, you go and train and flow with somebody, and you really leave your ego behind. You really don't care about getting submitted. You really don't care about giving up position. You just keep flowing. And when your real training comes, you put time and you put score and you put everything else, all the circumstances, even with crowds around, everything changes, man. It changes a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
And try to score somebody who doesn't want to be scored. It's a different animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you do?
So you got to prepare for all this.
Did you add any drills as far as like developing any new techniques for that match, or was it just mainly that kind of training that you speak of, the positional sparring?
No. There's something that we call Liborio. You sit down there for 3 hours, guys, watching videos, and I got a bunch of my black belts, a bunch of my guys, and we just sit down, and if he does that, what I do this, even if I do this, even if I do that, and we build up the choreography for 3 hours, and so many new positions comes up, and we go ahead and you Google anything, you see if you can find something similar online, and you just build up. Build up. And you get it out of there with your mind exploding, man.
Yeah. Like the film room.
I like that, the laboratory.
I like that.
That'll
be my new.
boys would call that.
You need to trademark that and
you
make
do.
a shirt out of that.
Or I will do it.
Or I will do it.
There you go.
Now, how has...
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I used to do this. This is a good story, guys.
Please.
This laboratory, it came up for the first time when I opened up my gym in Baja. I don't know if you've ever been in Rio. Have you ever been in Rio?
No, I haven't been there yet.
Not yet.
Okay. So Baja is an extreme opposite of a city called Niterói, where Arona lived, and a bunch of my other guys. And I have Arona and Shark, and near beside Shark, and I have Paulo Fido living there, and I have Gabriel Gladiator, and I have Pedro Damasceno, who lives in Abu Dhabi now. All my boys, they always to live there, and they drive in the morning to get there early. So they go all the way to Baja. Wow. And Carlson Gracie school was up right in the middle. So before they go Carlson Gracie, they go all the way to the opposite side. And we train there. We not train. We drill and we watch and do the laboratory, for 3 hours, man.
Wow.
Just 3 hours just researching positions and training and drill. Not even training, drill. And at noon and 1 o'clock, they drove down to Carlson, and they're real training with all the high level and heavy guys. And from there on, they go home back to Niterói, where it's delivered that they say. No, let's see that delivered. And this was for years we did that.
Wow.
But specifically one training, I don't remember when I was for 96, I think it was 96. I was champion. For 96 or 97. No, it was 97 or I forgot, guys. I remember. I'm terrible with dates.
Don't worry,
it's a couple years ago.
We're not worried about it.
But Arana was a world champion. Paulo Fido was a world champion. Matraca was a world champion. Shark was a world champion. And Gabriel took second place. That we know that was because of that, because we did that absolutely every day, every day. 3 hours a day, just do this laboratory there.
Yeah.
We really, it was amazing, man. We learned so much from everybody else. It's just put the video and learn it and drill it and repeat it and try to find solutions for situations,
Yeah.
Sure. And it sounds like just exactly the way it sounds, like as a laboratory. You're deconstructing something. You're taking something and then you're going backwards, right? Like
it out.
we dissect something in a laboratory and we work backwards from there and get to the smallest points, and then we find all the tools and build them back up. That's like the comparison is so perfect.
Yeah.
And you just really bring every brain in every position that you can do it. Especially nowadays, that you can actually find out. There's so many tools for you to look at it. Yeah. Before that, there was a guy in Brazil called Paquetá. He used to actually film all the events, and he used to buy his films and research the guys. And we go there and just find out solutions for problems, or anticipating positions, or finding antidotes for that, like laboratory, like you said. But from that, guys, it was until today. Actually, I use this as a huge reference in my weight teaching. Now, I coach it this way.
That must have been a huge advantage for that guy to have the videotapes, because especially back then. Right now, everybody's phone has a video camera, but I'm sure, like even 10 years ago, 15 years ago, like cameras weren't as popular. Like they were a lot more expensive back then.
Oh,
right?
No, there's not. Guys, this is 97, 96, 97. There's nothing like this. There's no cameras on the cell phones. You know,
that guy was the only one with a video camera in Brazil.
That was the only guy actually allowed to film inside the IBJJF events.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the IBJJF, and you won the Worlds a couple years ago, right? We'll say that.
Like 15?
A couple decades.
A couple decades ago. Now, in your opinion, how has changed, but how has jiu-jitsu changed from when you won the Worlds to now? The Worlds now, like the competitors, how they look, whether it's your weight class or all of them as a whole. How has jiu-jitsu changed?
Well, you can see the weight class, actually. Jiu-jitsu changed as a whole. And I don't think it's bad or worse. It's just transitional time. The sport has to evolve for so many interests, for so many points. Has to evolve to fit on TV, has to evolve to fit the rules to be more attractive, has to evolve to adapt to any other sports that are growing there in competition. All this has to be, you should be thinking when you just criticize a sport. The sport is going to be passing through many changes until we get something that actually, is going to gradually be more steady. But the only thing I think has to be retained is the fact that jiu-jitsu is getting a little bit away from self-defense. When I say self-defense, is that anyone in jiu-jitsu, in my time, it was training takedowns so they can actually use this in self-defense. And nowadays, the jiu-jitsu that you just it's just see it at bottom jiu-jitsu with no takedowns, double pull guard. And how you going to do this? Honestly, how you going to do this in a self-defense situation on the street?
Sure.
That's true.
It's the only thing. But I love the jiu-jitsu with the new techniques and the new rules, and this is evolution of the sport. Nobody can criticize this openly, even if you don't like it. Everybody can criticize. Who am I to judge that? But come on, this is evolution. This is evolution. I guarantee the generations before us, didn't like our jiu-jitsu for some reason. And you see it right now with all these techniques that actually is effective. You're on bottom, now you're on top because you use a berimbolo or whatever other techniques that you've been using. But it's true. But it falls a little bit in the category of just turning into sport jiu-jitsu. And in sport jiu-jitsu, unless you actually have a comprehensive curriculum that you teach other things to, especially who's just started, this guy never going to learn a takedown.
Especially
we have to teach that.
And especially because nowadays people are signing up to martial arts schools for self-defense. They walk into a school, they teach jiu-jitsu. Sure, I'd like to learn that. My son or daughter is getting bullied in school, and then we're teaching sport jiu-jitsu. That can actually, that can actually give them a false sense of what their abilities are.
It can.
Right?
It can. It's just like this. Imagine in a school that everyone just start on your knees to start training. Are you going to be doing this in competition?
That's true.
Well, you're not going to start on your knees.
Yeah.
If at least you just pull guard right away, but I'm just saying that it's not that it's right or wrong. It's just one step behind.
Sure.
Okay.
And he create a false sense of security because, okay, man, I'm kicking ass, but you started on the ground.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It's like Mario, man. And Mario is a great wrestler. He is a great wrestler, great judo guy, but he transitioned to wrestling pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And how are you going to defeat Mario just pulling guard? Unless you're something, let's say to put a younger version of Mario. Let's put a Rodolfo Vieira. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be an easy thing.
Yeah. Only
it would not be easy.
Sure.
You can defeat, of course, but it will not be easy if you don't know the basics of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And understand that everyone who actually, let's put Damian Maia right there. Damian Maia, with all his jiu-jitsu, which is incredible, he had to develop his wrestling too, right?
Sure,
Otherwise, it won't work.
Absolutely.
Definitely evolved through the years.
Of course, he had to. And the moment that he actually taking everybody down, pushing him against the cage, and use any position that you get from there, it turns way easier.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
For them. It's just, he uses his jiu-jitsu, but his jiu-jitsu is, like it or not, it's old style, you can say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that jiu-jitsu, the new jiu-jitsu, sport jiu-jitsu is bad, because it's not. And I love it. I like to go there. I love to see those guys. I like to see, especially when those guys use positions to evolve and submit people. Mm-hmm. Not to stall and look at the clock and you actually win in an advantage. It's just that I do not support.
Yeah.
But use their positions and actually win with development, and try to win or try to from there. Maybe you see that effort. The guys try to go from there to the mount to the back and submit. Yeah. That's awesome. Who doesn't like this?
Going for the kill. Yeah. Is there anyone right now, any practitioners that remind you of yourself, or anyone that you enjoy watching?
Right now, I just cannot say the Bushesha is one of them. But you're talking about the old school, the old school, like a Birimbolo type.
Anyone right now? If there's if you're on the computer and you just wanted to watch someone's match, who would you type in? Who would be the first person you would type in?
Oh, that's a good. I love Rodolfo Vieira, man. I really, I love this kid in so many ways. I'm a passionate about, this whole. For being in this martial arts game for so long, guys, I developed something that I can really separate the person to the athlete, and I can be a big fan of the athlete, but not the person.
Okay.
But Rodolfo is everything.
Wow.
Rodolfo is an amazing person. Mm-hmm. He really is. I know this kid well.
Yeah.
He's an amazing person. He is absolutely a stud. This guy is beating, everybody.
Yes.
And he is no doubt at all, man. It's just good for a sport. That's people like this has to be idolized because they're really good for the sport.
Yeah.
Bushish is another guy who is tremendous and a great guy. Marcelo Garcia. Mm-hmm. Marcelo Garcia is he's my brother. He really is.
Yeah.
Marcelo trained with me here. He lived in Florida. I'm the godfather of his kid.
Oh.
He's one of the most amazing people that I ever met in my life.
Wow. He
really is. If you guys don't know who he is, everybody knows who Marcelo is, but talk about his personality.
Yeah.
It's just something amazing, man. Mm-hmm. He excels, Sure. He excels. Not just because what had done it, but excels in person. How you actually inspire somebody to be like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of meeting Marcelo Garcia a few times at his academy because we're so close. I don't get a chance to train there often, but occasionally I do, and he's always very welcoming. He doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know my association. I might be with one of his students when I go, so he can kind of be introduced to me very, very easily. But regardless of whether he knew me or whoever I was with, he was always a very, very jolly, welcoming person. I have to say that about him, 100%.
Yeah, he is. He made a choice. He really made a choice. And treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Don't we got to talk about the golden rule and anything else, but that's such a true statement, man.
Yeah.
You know, you really treat people the want to be treated, man. You can't regret with that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, he's one of those guys that people have to analyze this type of personality. He'll solve a lot of problems if people are more like him.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
in any way, you know, like you said, no judgmental, no affiliations, not caring who you are, you know, where you are directly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a statement, you know. Can you condemn any and every single person because of their race or their religion? You can't.
Yeah.
You know, in my mind, you can. You know, you have a very few bad apples. You know, you have bad apples and you separate them, but you cannot put everybody in the same bag.
Definitely.
So it would be great if the sport of jiu-jitsu was more like this too, right? If everybody, besides the rivalry, everybody was not just treating so nicely, but give a chance to get to know the person. And you go there and fight like Bushish and Rodolfo do. Yeah. And I know that they're friends. I know that. They were in my house not even 3 months ago, everybody. Yeah. You know, and and those guys are awesome. It's absolutely awesome. They're true friends. They do seminars together.
Yeah, they do. You see pictures once in a while of them together.
But when they're on the mat, they go to war.
Yeah.
They go to war.
Wow.
Because don't you go to war when you train with your teammate?
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say that. It's just you go to war, and you get closer through those wars on the match. You get a lot closer. You get a certain bond that you can't find anywhere else.
That's true.
Right?
This exactly happens in MMA.
Right? Yeah.
And MMA is the same. As much trash you can talk after you beat up each other there in MMA, you get a certain amount of respect for the guy. You know, it's something very...
Absolutely.
Very intimate, you know? It's really just like the bond is between them, you know?
Yeah. Just like in the Shark Tank, I bet, like in Shark Tank, you never feel so alive but feeling so dead, if that makes any sense. Because it's like you're with your brothers, like you're dying, but once it's over, it's just like, man, what a great day. Yeah. Like today was a great day, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, and especially if you have short goals for that. You have short goals, man, today I'm going to tap. Instead of 10 times, I'm going to tap, you know, I'm going to tap 9. And today I'm going to resist a little bit more, and I'm going to give my best and with the last guy. You know, all this. Yeah. You know, you just start setting up the goals, and your pressure build up in your mind. Because the first sessions, man, you're probably going to get devastated. You're going to get your ass kicked anyway. Every day is going to get your ass kicked. But it's just mentally what you can do under the pressure. Circumstances so tired, you know, it's all this. Yeah. And you know.
How's it like coaching like one of the biggest teams in the world, an American top team? Like what is a day like for you? I can only imagine how busy it is for you.
Oh boy, so you know, it is. It's a lot of people. There's a lot, but there are so many coaches there. There's so many other coaches. You know, there's so much. I am. You know, I'm old right now. You know, I think there's generations of fighters and coaches that they're people that I really believe they're, you know, there's the generation take over. And with 50 years old, besides the age is the lifestyle is something that you really have is on you. You know, for me, I remember when I came to this country, you know, I was 30-something years old and I was traveling every weekend. Yeah. You know, every weekend somewhere. Absolutely every weekend. Sometimes 15 days, 20 days at a time. Oof. I remember once that I went to Japan 3 days in the same month. Japan.
Oh, my God.
You know, go to Japan, go back. Go to Japan, go back. Go to Japan, go back. This is,
tired of
you know, it just really gets old and just heavy. And the family also, you know. So for me right now, is I got guys like Mike Brown, Gene Thomas, Paul Pina, Cattell. Those guys, they're their time right now. You know, for me is I want to enjoy things like really. I love jiu-jitsu, man. Yeah. I do absolutely love jiu-jitsu and grappling. I really do love it. I do love it. Like I really love MMA too, but there's so many aspects in MMA to be learned. Yeah, and this is what I have done in the last 20 years. It's just studied so much MMA. I think it's time for me to go back in jiu-jitsu. You know, go back and started training guys and having the time and enjoying the sport. Not just the competition, but just enjoying the sport. Yeah. You know, things that you can learn from the sport, not just the health aspect of this sport, but the philosophical part of the sport. that was, I think, is so important.
Sure.
Like we're saying, about Marcelo and the whole environment that you can create in your gym.
Yeah.
The environment that you can create in your house. It's all this, and I enjoy that.
How
I
many
really committed to this. I think that's what my next goal.
how many jiu-jitsu classes do you teach a week, a month? Do you teach often lately? Because you're saying you want to get more into jiu-jitsu as opposed to MMA.
Right now, this is what's happening. I moved to Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter, you guys know about my daughter. My daughter is visually impaired. You guys don't know. She had it when she was 1.5 years old. She had the surgeries and she ended up blind. But the good thing about this is that, we as a family, we decided to move to Orlando because she tested and she's gifted.
Okay.
So we decided to move to Orlando to pursue this program. We call it a magnet program here in Orlando. This is one of the best in the country.
Wow.
So we have to move.
Nice.
So I'll go there in Coconut Creek as often as I can right now. But it's on a new project right now. There's something that is pretty new. You guys are going to have some good news, about some big things that's happening here right now.
Awesome.
And from that is I'm going to be teaching every day. Yeah,
Awesome.
I really
Yeah.
look forward to it.
That's great, man.
Sure. What is the difference between teaching MMA fighters as opposed to pure jiu-jitsu competitors? Like, what would your focus be on had you been teaching one class followed by the other?
Well, there is no doubt about, MMA. MMA is not just a sport.
Mm-hmm.
MMA is entertainment too. You can never forget this, and you can never detach this point. If you just think about winning,
Yeah.
you're in the wrong place.
Mm.
You're not really winning for a medal. It's just you can try to win this scrap and try to do things to try to, it's more justifiable if you do something like this in jiu-jitsu and then win by advantage and just hold it and stall it and, and use all the tricks that you can get it to actually win fights.
Yeah.
Then in MMA, you can't do this in UFC. You're going to get fired. You're going to get fired even if you're winning.
That's the crazy part. Yeah.
If you're boring, you're not going to get fired. For you, in MMA, you have to turn heads.
That's true.
You have to win, and you have to turn heads. You have to be one of those guys that your presence, your looks, your personality, all this is going to count in the end. And you have to understand the nature of the sport, the script, things that you say. You're more prompt to provoke. You're more prompt to touch subjects that are actually more, polemic than in MMA than actually in jiu-jitsu,
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, a polemic figure is always, a controversial person is always a, big chance to be well-known in any sport, in anything in life.
Yeah.
You're going to have heroes, people are going to love him, people are going to hate him, but everybody's going to keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a recipe for success. And in MMA is the thing. But there's way more people doing this in MMA.
Sure.
Because that's the way the culture of the sport was actually oriented. That's what UFC wants from you.
Okay.
They look at in you.
I see.
And and there's a sport of jiu-jitsu is different than MMA.
Sure.
And you have to understand entertainment when you work in MMA.
Mm.
In the sport of jiu-jitsu, of course you can, but still, you can be loved, but you don't want to be in the third side, and not get to the podium all the time. For you to be noticed, you got to get to the podium at least.
Yeah.
And I bet there's a lot more pressure amongst the students, the MMA fighter students, and the jiu-jitsu students, because the MMA fighters, the professional MMA fighters, they have a lot more pressure on them to succeed because there's a lot more money on the line, because there's a lot more opportunity on the line, and because, like you said, there's more of a script to being successful in the MMA circuit as opposed to the jiu-jitsu circuit. So that's where the egos come in and being the sheep herder of all the egos, if you will, right?
Yeah, the egos, or you can call lawyers, you can call the managers, you can call anything you want. Once there is money involved, brother, there will be, the vouchers.
Yeah.
Believe me.
It's a lot more headache.
Vultures are going to be around that.
Yeah. Vultures.
Yeah, we got to be around this. I have my, my good share of of dealing with those guys, which is not an easy thing.
I can only imagine. I want to bring it back to you, Libo. One thing that
that's Uncle Libo.
Uncle Libo. One thing I'm learning as we're talking is that you care more about the person, and like Marcelo, Adolfo, like how inspiring they are to you. Was there anyone growing up that you looked up to, and like people you admired? And if so, what were the things that you admired that you try to bring into your life and who you are?
Oh, Carlson Gracie, man. It's somebody that I admire a lot.
Uh-huh.
That guy was a pure heart. It was pure heart.
Okay.
That's a guy who wasn't he had his faults. You know, he never was a businessman. He never could see, you know, the mathematics behind things. But it was a lot to do with heart. He was doing it for love. He was doing, you know, he was really passionate about this. Passionate about competition. Passionate about jiu-jitsu. Passionate about life.
Yeah.
Passionate about food, music. He was an idol of mine, man. He inspired me. And of course, I took the background and things that I learned. I come from banking and business, and I try to, you know, implement a couple of things that he was not successful to it, so I can provide you know, to my family, because I think is important too.
Absolutely.
And yeah, but he is one of the guys, definitely. And there's one thing that I'm proud of is that I got a black belt from him.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying he was not perfect. Nobody is.
Nobody
I
is. Agree.
But his heart was in place.
Sure. Is he your only mentor that you've had along the years?
There's so many people that I look up to, and in so many different aspects and ways. You know, but the guy that I love to death, man. De La Riva is one of them. You know? De La Riva is one of the guys. I started jiu-jitsu with De La Riva. De La Riva used to teach at Carlson, and he was absolutely one of my main guys. You know, I'd be really good friends with him. It was a good thing is that I was very good friends with him before we were, you know, anything. We're nothing. We were absolutely nothing. There was at the time. I'm talking about 84, 85, you know, there was no real, there was jiu-jitsu in a very little circle in Rio de Janeiro, the South Zone of Rio.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's not really like you see it today, you know, not global.
Yeah. It's expanded.
And it was us. It was us because, you know, Carlson inspired us in so many different ways, and we love that thing. We were very fortunate. I think we were at the right time, in the right place.
I see.
You know, and yeah, De La Riva is one of the guys that I look up to so much. Murilo Bustamante is a guy that I look up to so much. This is not just a brother to me too, but he is, man, I'm a big fan of Murilo. A big fan. Murilo is not just technical, but he is absolutely a monster. Man, it's this guy mentally is one of the strongest guys that I ever seen in my life. Yeah. He is a surgeon, man. He can be one of those guys there that actually can operate a guy with, you know, with a pocket knife, and he would be not even sweaty.
Wow.
Murilo's
a legend, and I used to love watching Murillo fight, and he was a great fighter. He was a great MMA fighter.
Yeah. Murilo's a fighter, 100%. You know, there is a lot of athletes and competitors, but Murillo is a fighter.
Yeah.
That's one of the kind of guy that I learned a lot from. You know, just to be around him.
Yeah.
And another thing is, as honest he can be. You know, as honest as he can be. His true character. You know, the kind of person that he is. I admire that. I can't. It's hard for me to detach. You know, personality, like I said, but I can see it. You know, from throughout the years, I can't definitely understand the character. I can't understand somebody like McGregor. You know, see the persona, the character behind.
Yeah.
And I can't see people do marketing stunts and things. I completely comprehend this market and this business.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me not to admire people that actually have some sort of vein in a communion, you know, like Marcelo, De La Riva, and Murillo, and other people too. But
Sure.
Yeah, man. I look up to those guys. And there's one guy in the old school when I started that I look up to a lot is Peixotinho
Okay.
and Pinduca. There's two guys actually from Carlson. At my time, that was way before me,
Okay.
but they were the guys at my time.
Sure.
You know, Fernando Pinduca and Peixotinho. Those are the guys.
Now, I've always wondered, like, when you came to America, and eventually when American Top Team started, what were the early days like? Like when the door opened, what was that feeling like? What was the feeling around the gym? Like how many people were in the classes? Because I work at a jiu-jitsu school. We teach a lot of kids, but even me, I wasn't here during the inception, during opening day. I was already here when there were students and the wheels were turning. But how was it when you first started?
Okay, this is a very interesting thing because when I moved to U.S. and moved because Dustin Dennis actually introduced me to Lambert.
Okay.
Dustin Dennis, clean, used to train there, and he introduced me to Dan Lambert. And I was looking to go to U.S. Actually, I had an offer to go work in Japan to learn English. Look at this. I was working in Japan with some MMA team over there, so I could spend some time to learn English because at the time we just had one agent, one manager, speaking English and negotiated for us. So I want to be the other guy. At the time, it was a Brazilian top team. So I ended up meeting Lambert, and I told him that I was going to Japan to spend 6 months there. And he said, "Well, why don't you want to learn English? Why don't you come over here?" I proposed to come over here. So I came over 3 months after I was here.
Okay.
Yeah, man, that's it. This is the capital of the world. It's exactly what I wanted to do, and I knew exactly clearly. Especially because at the time I told the guys, Murillo, Mario, and Babel, guys, I think we should branch it out and we should do more things and put the flex behind the guy, with the hands up.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense because American guys are not going to cheer for a Brazilian guy all the time. It's got to be a common sense. We got to follow the flag.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's concentrate on Brazilian top team. I said, okay. And after a while in 2000, when I came over, I said, all right, guys, I talked to Lambert, guys. I think we can open up American top team. Let me talk to those guys. He said, go ahead, talk to the guys.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Mario. I talked to Murillo and Babel, and I give them my card. I have a 25% of the Brazilian top team, and I gave my part, and I got American top team. And I partnered up with Lambert, and from there it's history. And when we started, guys, let me tell you this.
Yeah.
We have for quite a while 36 students.
Okay.
36 students paying.
36.
And everything was a fight team. Well, we have tons of professional fighters.
Yeah.
A bunch of Brazilian guys came with me when I decided to come.
Okay.
So we do have a bunch of guys, all of them, training to try to be an MMA fighter, but nobody really actually paying. There is no sustainability.
Oh, okay.
And I always thought about it. You have to create some sort of a business plan, and you got to be sustainable. You got to monetize things. You got to put definitely a price on it. If you don't know, how much your hour worth, you don't know how much you make.
Sure.
And you should know all your expenses, man. It's just love, which is okay. But where you wanted to go, if you want to keep doing this for a long time, it's not just to leave something and turn the lights on. There's so much more into it. Mm-hmm. So I ended up meeting the guys from Martial Arts Industry Association. I ended up through Dean Thomas. I met Mike Metzger, who actually was one of my mentors, in the business side. And Mike is a very good friend. He lives in Orlando here. We're still doing things together.
Okay.
And this guy, when I told him the first time, man, this is in 2003, and I was telling him, I have this champion here, have done this with this guy. We have so many guys in UFC. He said, Libo, great. But this doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Because as much as you know this, regular guys don't know what it is. Number two, but there was a good thing about that too. At this time, when I met them, nobody knew about MMA.
Yeah, it was.
And I was trying to explain that to them. Try to explain what MMA was and what our position on the market. And we were one of the first ones to build up something big. because I knew an American top team was a baby well. I knew that we're going to grow fast. But we are very fortunate too, because when I moved here, after a while, we had the reality show, the tough show, and suddenly MMA was mainstream.
Yeah.
The same guys were like, "Oh man, this is real. You know, MMA is real. This is now everybody knows what an MMA is."
Sure.
But at the time, he was saying, "Libo, nobody knows what it is. You know, it doesn't really matter. Because nobody knows where you are or who you are. It doesn't matter. If everybody knows who you are and where you are, if there's nobody actually making sales or selling a product for you, you know, you cannot teach your classes and actually enroll people at the door. It's just impossible. You have to have systems to do this.
Sure.
If somebody calls, you have to have somebody answering the phone and making sales. Otherwise, you're not selling it.
You're not going to make
You're
any
just
money,
doing
huh?
a marketing, marketing plan. It's just not. It's just not ad.
Of
It's
course.
just really you have to make things happen.
Yeah, like you
So
said, we needed systems.
He creates systems. Go ahead. Yeah. So I studied the systems. I went everywhere. And what systems there is in place, what marketing systems, what sales systems, what retention systems is, what's the business is, what is the real business is, a market research, find out your competitors, find out, where you're going, your demographics, all of it. You got to study all of this before you open a business.
Yeah,
all of this is very important. If you don't do this, you're not doing your research. You're not going to be organized at least.
Yeah, I mean that's very. I mean, not everybody does it, but that's very basic martial arts school business. Like aspects. You need to do all those things for retention. You need to get people in the door. Not everyone knows where you are or who you are. Like you can be a legend in a sport, but if no one knows that you're in that town at that location,
no one's
it
going.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's so important. That's so interesting
and stressful at the same time.
So, would you say that Tough, the show, created a culture amongst the whole country, really, whoever saw the show, and once the culture was built, now people were interested. So the culture needed to be.
You see, the culture itself, the culture was already there. I think that was advertised. Actually, what happens there is, suddenly everybody knew what his MMA was, and creating idols, you started having people that following them, and you have to provide, education for them. That's important. That's how the martial arts studios in MMA and anything else in BJJ schools, all this is doing. We provide service, you provide education, you provide content, whatever you provide there, your programs, curriculum, whatever you decide to provide. But the key is, it has to be comprehensive. People have to see this. It's much easier when you actually put it on paper. Okay, this is how many hours you have a month. This is your prices are this here. Otherwise, imagine you go to Starbucks and there is no blackboard there saying what kind of coffee you want and what's the price is.
Yeah.
You have to know what your price is, and you have to know what's your, what kind of products you're actually selling.
Yeah, I mean,
and just little things,
Yeah. The prices, especially, because I know whenever I go into a store or on a website and I see all their products, but they don't put the prices, it gets me so aggravated,
market price,
and irritated. Give me the price. Like, what are we trying to hide here? And they want you to like pick it up, bring it to the register, or click on it on the website and check out before they give you the price at the end. It's like, we need the price, man. Like that makes the difference in the whole situation.
Yeah, and this is what it is. This is sales, man. It's not just marketing. Marketing is when you don't put a price tag there, or you put a huge price tag there, right? So people can see it. This is part of marketing. From there is what? The act of selling.
Yeah. You
have 20 people, man, calling you, and you never make a sale. You never close a deal. You're not making money. You're not sustainable. You're breaking.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or something is really wrong with your classes. Let's say you have 20 people getting in and 25 getting out every month. You're breaking it.
Yeah, that's terrible.
You're losing it.
I really know and can relate to what you're saying because, like I said, I work at a martial arts school and I'm a part of all these practices. I know what needs to be done when somebody calls in. I know how to keep them a student. I know what it takes. I know how to get old students back and all these things. They all matter. It's so important. And I feel like talking from other business managers or owners in the martial arts business, it seems like common sense, but a lot of people aren't very good at dealing with that stuff.
No. Well, martial arts studios, like traditional martial arts studios, has a better understanding. The industry is there for quite a long time. And also, why? Because the demographics of the martial arts studio is different than our demographics. You know, BJJ and MMA is more geared towards the adults. And the adults itself, and you got to make a huge effort to transcend this to the kids, which a lot of people do successfully, but it's not a majority. Well, the average Joe don't know what MMA or BJJ is, for sure. They don't know. They have a vague idea of what it is.
Yeah.
But they heard about karate, but they heard about martial arts. They heard of it. And
you know what's the funny part about that? A lot of our students still, like all the 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, even some of the 10-year-olds, we have to correct them and say, no, we don't teach karate here. They label it karate. They're going to karate school. They took karate today. And that's ingrained in our society so much. That's how good of a job those karate people did. That even to this day,
the industry, look at this.
Yeah.
There's more money in this industry. Actually, the industry is the same. From MMA, BJJ, judo, and all the traditional martial arts itself, it is embroidered into this industry that we are. I try to separate a little, but I don't. You still have boxing clubs, you still have Muay Thai clubs, you have wrestling, you have all of this. This is all combat sports, right? This is what I call combat sports itself. But martial arts for kids, like it or not, it carries on and more a culture. It gears more into character education, and you actually can sell this to the parents because they don't know they don't know the difference between karate and BJJ. They don't know. They really don't. And it's okay. It's up to you to understand that this is part of your job. You have to teach it like a teacher, man. You can't expect your kid to get there and know how to write. You can't expect the parents to know how to read things. You really actually have to get there. Very few parents are educated.
Yeah.
And you got to do a good job in explaining and see it. The kids actually doing jiu-jitsu there. They are really actually training real jiu-jitsu and competing and winning. But after a while, they are actually familiar with what the real sport is because they pass through the process. But it's not even a reason to be angry about it. It's just even a good reason to explore. That's another reason why I don't even put just BJJ there. I put it, I put a martial arts.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what martial arts is.
Yeah, true.
But if you just put specific BJJ, it may be that the guy who's looking for something different than that, but he doesn't know exactly what it is, will not get into your store.
Sure.
Or your studio.
Or they think it's something else. It might be the thing they're looking for, but they think it's something else. So they don't even step in the school. I like that. And I've seen many different big martial arts schools, many different big jiu-jitsu schools where the sign outside doesn't say, Andre Galvao Jiu-Jitsu or this Jiu-Jitsu. It says mixed martial arts on the big sign outside.
Or put a martial arts.
Or martial arts, yeah. It's crazy, but that's marketing.
But it's a good tip. That's a good tip. I advise everybody to put a martial arts there.
Yeah, we will.
And
I'm writing the
sign
sign
from
now.
there. And from there on, you have to be prepared to sell it because if you have a good location and people walk in and drive by you and people see it, what are they going to see it? It's your advertisement right there.
For sure.
If you just put BJJ, they still have to pass the process of figuring out what BJJ is. And when they get there and you're right in front of them, you explain them what BJJ is.
Yes. And you direct them towards what they're interested in.
Yeah. And they will fall in love with it.
Yeah. Jiu-jitsu. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing. It brings so many people together. And that's one of the main reasons why I love jiu-jitsu.
He does. And, there's so many reasons why also, the sport itself it's compared to a game. you can't do that as a game, you know, as much as you're working out, a good and hard workout. It is a game. You're scoring points if you do this and that, you know, and you go back here and that. And at the same time, if you're not too diverse of what his martial arts is, you're doing self-defense.
Sure.
You know, you're doing martial arts. So it's all, yeah, man, I love it.
Well, on that note, I think we're done. I know you got to go, but we really appreciate you coming on and
thank
giving
you so
us the
much,
time.
Uncle Libo, for
Libo.
coming up on us.
It was fun, boys. It was fun. Good. We took 1 hour talking, huh?
Yeah. And it's hard to butt in because, like, you know, a lot of the things you're saying are just so profound, and I feel like don't step in when the elder is talking.
No, you can't step in. That's just the time I talk too much. I usually don't talk that much, but today you guys.
Well, that's why we got you on.
The right questions.
Yeah,
it's good to say it was a good talk.
Yeah.
It was fun.
All right, boys. You anytime, just give me a call if you need anything.
Absolutely.
I'm in Orlando right now, but I'm always going to the creek. You just give me a call. Come to visit.
Ooh.
Anyone. All right.
Game on. Thank you
day,
so
my
much. What we should visit.
All right, guys. Take care.
Hey,
Thank
take
you
care,
very
brother.
much.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And if you are a fan of our podcast, please give us good reviews, rate, and subscribe on iTunes.
Share
it.
Share this bad boy.
Yeah, make
man.
sure
It
you
goes a
download
long
it.
way, man.
Yeah, check out the YouTube. We're on YouTube as well. Check out our newsletter. Where each month we're giving away one thing free to anybody who subscribes. So all you have to do is subscribe to the newsletter. Also on there, we're going to be doing giveaways, prizes, contests, all that stuff. The only way you could do it is by subscribing. If you go to our Facebook page, there's a subscribe button on the side.
Yeah.
So please do it, guys.
Yeah, and before we go, if you guys want us to talk about anything else on this fight breakdown or anything else, guys, feel free to make any comments or throw some questions at us out on our Instagram page or Facebook.
Or email us showtheart@gmail.com.
We want to interact with you guys.
Let's do it.
All right, man. We out.
Till next time.
Peace.